Hello and welcome to TalkFCB and welcome back here to the channel, guys. A Barcelona news roundup coming up for you today. And I've got to say, some of the news that we are going to talk about, well, quite a lot of it, to be honest, is very, very frustrating. It's not the kind of news that I want to bring you. It's not the kind of stories that I do want to discuss. But all the same, I think whilst it's out there, whilst certainly it is on the cards given the current board at the club, we have to discuss it. We have to discuss what may happen in this coming summer. So get ready for this. Let's get to it. Because let's start right here with one of the more positive stories coming in today's video. It's on MD's cover. It's Timo Werner. And you can see the headline there, contact with Werner. And it basically goes on to say that Barcelona already have contacted the entourage. They have spoken there with Timo Werner's personnel. Apparently last month in March, Abidal there met with Werner's father. Basically there just to sound out exactly what his plans were, whether or not he'd be interested in joining the club. And apparently there Barcelona still do have an interest in signing Timo Werner if the Lautaro Martinez deal cannot happen. They go on to say there that Werner is quite comfortably the club's second choice for that striker role, and they still have a firm interest in him. They do go on to say, though, and I think rightly so, that this summer Werner is not short of offers. He's going to have a number of offers this summer, and I do have to say, he's going to be getting offers there about first choice. He's going to be club's first choice in the transfer window, and if it was me, if I'd had a brilliant season, which he has done at RB Leipzig, if I was one of the most high-profile young forwards around right now, I'd be thinking, if you think I'm your second choice, maybe that's not the club for me. And Barcelona here need to get their priorities right. Certainly there, when you look at Werner, Liverpool being very, very heavily linked. It came out just a few days ago that apparently he would be open to joining Liverpool if they went on to pay his £52 million release clause before that expires on June the 15th. So Werner right now in his contract does have a much cheaper release clause than Lautaro Martinez has, but it would need to be activated there before June the 15th. After that time, it will increase, it will be more expensive, more difficult to get Werner. He is on the table at Barca, but it seems right now, still not a priority. We then move on to the future of Real Betis right back and possibly Barcelona right back in the future. Emerson, 21 years old. We all know that he's had a fantastic season in La Liga, and he's somebody I think all of us are looking forward to seeing in a Barcelona shirt. Emerson, just a week or so ago, came out and said, I really want to play for the club. I want to win trophies there. I've got such big ambitions. But here comes the frustration, because according to Sport right now, Barcelona realised this summer it's pretty much impossible to get Emerson early for two reasons. Number one, they're not too keen on paying Real Betis more money to get him here before 2021. And the number two reason would be that he would occupy there a non-EU spot. And since Barcelona have already filled that quota for now, it is looking more likely that he will stay at Betis for one more season. They're effectively on loan. Where it gets frustrating, though, is that Sport go on here and they do say the Barcelona board remain open to selling Emerson at the right price. The likes of Tottenham, Inter Milan, a number of clubs have looked at the performances this season of Emerson and they thought that's a very, very good player. He's young, he's quick, he's strong. I think he could adapt pretty much to any league at all. He's good defensively, certainly going forward. He's got goals, he's got assists. He really has shown so much promise this season, and yet Barcelona are open to selling him for the right price. And it gets even worse than that, because get this, according to Sport, Barcelona would consider it, and they do say this, they would consider it excellent business if they were able to sell Emerson this summer for €20 million. Barcelona there apparently would be happy if they could get 20 million from the Premier League, from teams there who are interested in Emerson, to sell him this summer outright, no buyback, nothing like that, 20 million. And that is for me so frustrating, because this is a guy, like I say, who just days ago, he was saying, I can't wait to go there. I can't wait to play in the colours of Barcelona. And this is the problem right now. We have young players, we have young talent who are desperate, absolutely desperate here to come into our club, to give us something on the field and actually prove they belong. But they don't get the chance. Emerson this summer, if the right offer comes in, they're already considering just sending him out the door, using him there as some sort of object just to get them a few more €1 million, when 20 million isn't even that much. Ridiculous. We then move on to the rumours surrounding Sandro Tonali, the Italian midfielder, 19 years old, currently turns 20 next month, and he's another player, young, certainly a lot of talent. He's had a brilliant season in Serie A this season, and to be honest, it's even more impressive given the fact there he's playing for Brescia, who've had a tough season themselves in terms of their team. They're not exactly stacked with quality, but Tonali has been one of those players who's really shone through with his performances. In terms of his profile, he's been compared there with Andrea Pirlo, which in Italy, that is quite the comparison to make, but you can see why. If you watch him play, and I have done on a few occasions this season, he's somebody there who will sit in deep. He puts in some fantastic long-range passes. He's got really good vision. He's got good execution, and he is somebody there very, very comfortable sitting at the base of your midfield and just running things. What I would say here, though, is once again, he's a player who's linked with Barcelona, who's defensive-minded. How many defensive midfielders do we want at the club? Because CDS in Italy came out yesterday. Now, I have to say, they're not usually the most reliable source ever. They came out and said that Barcelona were interested in signing Tonali, along with many, many other clubs. Barca would offer 60 million euros plus the addition of two lesser-known Barca players, equating there to about 6 or 7 million euros. So altogether there, over 60 million to sign Sandro Tonali. But like I say, CDS in Italy, they're not the best source there to go with. However, Rack 1 last night did back up that report. They said, look, 60 million, that's not quite true. We're not quite sure there about that amount of money that Barcelona would spend on Tonali. But Rack 1 did say they do have an interest in this young player. And like I say, he does have talent. He does have quality. I've watched him and I'm really, really impressed with his game. And believe me, he's destined, I think, certainly in the game for big, big things. But how many of these profiles can we get? We just signed De Jong. We haven't even played him in defensive midfield. We haven't even played him in that area. Why do we consistently go after players that kind of in our team we already have? Why don't we get what we actually need? But I really have saved the best until last, and I say the best because I mean actually the most frustrating story and the worst story that we are going to cover in today's video. And like I say, guys, I do apologise. This is the kind of news that I don't want to be bringing you. I don't want to be sitting here making notes, researching these stories, and actually all of this stuff is so annoying. But look, this is the club right now. This is the Barcelona board, who even if these stories may not be true, the amount of times we hear things along these lines, something is not right at the club. Because right now, just days after Arthur has said that he's had unfinished business at Barcelona, Arthur came out with an exclusive interview and he said, you know what, I'm so happy to be here. He said, I can appreciate offers from elsewhere, but he said, my only thinking is to remain here. I know that I can do better. And certainly, he's got his ambitions there of achieving just that in the colours of Barcelona. He said, I do not want to leave. Now, Rack 1 yesterday basically teased that an Italian club were interested in a swap deal, including Arthur, but they did say it wasn't Inter and it was nothing at all to do with the Lautaro Martinez deal, which we have heard in the past. They then broke the news that Barcelona were in initial talks with Juventus about a potential swap deal between Arthur Melo and Miralem Pjanić. And I don't get this. I do not get any single part of this deal. Because let's just lay it out. Miralem Pjanić, on his day, in his prime, a wonderful, wonderful midfield player. If you'd have given me this rumour 3-4 years ago, maybe when Pjanić was leaving Roma, when we had the chance to sign him, but we didn't. He then went to Juventus. He impressed in his overall years, but this season, he has been poor. By his own standard, Pjanić has not had a good season in the midfield at Juventus, and right now, he's 30 years old. Why on earth would we be anywhere near interested in this sort of deal? Arthur, 23, young, promising, talented, clearly has the characteristics to succeed in Barcelona's midfield. There was a stat that came out just a few days ago, actually, in the Spanish media, and it basically compared Barcelona with Arthur Melo and Barcelona without Arthur Melo in the team, and with Arthur, our win percentage significantly higher. And they were basically saying, is that a coincidence? No, it's not. Arthur in our team, in our midfield, makes us better. He does need to stay fit. He does need to do better. He does need to be more consistent. I'm not saying he's the finished article, but we shouldn't be looking at deals like this. We shouldn't be looking at trading him away for somebody coming in there who's 30 years old. What is the board's thinking? I don't understand it. I never have. I never will. We are counting down the minutes, counting down the days until they're gone. So like I say, guys, that today was not exactly the most uplifting news roundup ever, but at the same time, at least right now, even with everything that's going on, we don't have football. That's very, very disappointing. We're all waiting for all of this stuff to blow over. But at least right now, the board technically have kind of got their hands tied. During all this stuff, when everything is on hold, they can't do any damage right now. And I suppose that's one way that we can look at things in a bit of a positive light. Because right now, the stories that we're hearing, the rumours that keep cropping up, it's not great, it's not that enjoyable, but there it is. It is what it is, as a famous man once said. I'll leave you with that, guys. Please leave all your thoughts in the comments down below on everything we have discussed in today's video. Thanks indeed if you've made it all the way to the end. Don't worry, things will get better in the future. I can promise you that. I will see you soon, but until next time, as always, Visca el Barça.